Right.
It because Michael Gallup's in and out of the lineup more than DeAndre Swift was for the Lions.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be mean, but you look at it, he misses quarters, he misses halves. He
Uh-huh.
doesn't miss a lot of games, but he
Right.
misses 3 drives this game and a whole half one game, and then he misses
Right.
a quarter one game. That all adds up to games missed in the long run. I
Right.
tried explaining it to people. I sat there and said, "You can say that about DeAndre Swift. Oh, he played 15 games last year. Yeah, he played in 15 games. Doesn't mean he was in the whole game for those 15 games."
Right. So how many games was he in for, did you say?
Oh, Michael Gallup or
No,
DeAndre
Swift.
Swift?
Yeah.
Swift played 14 games last year, and he played 15 the year before that. The year
Okay.
before was his best year.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But last
Right.
year, he was in and out of the lineup while he was
Now,
healthy a lot.
is that common for him? Is he always banged up, or is that just a year he was banged up? He's always
No, he's
banged up.
been banged up since his rookie year.
Okay. Yeah.
He misses an average of 3 to 5 games a year. If you add in the snap counts, it ends up becoming more like 5 to 8 games a year. That's
Wow.
way too much time.
Yeah, that is a lot of time. That is definitely. So, what's your outlook for the Lions? I
With the
haven't
way they
looked
played
too much. Mhm.
after the Dallas game,
Mhm. After the Dallas game. Right.
it was a tale of two halves, 2 teams. You
Okay.
had the passing game coordinator was Aubrey Pleasant, which was our defensive backs coach. They
Right.
fired him. They gave the duties to the safeties coach, and all
Right.
of a sudden, everybody knew how to cover except for Jeff Okuda again. Why? Because Jeff
Right.
Okuda was a press man coverage corner, and we ran
Right.
80% press man through the first 7 games, which is why he was our best corner on the field.
Mhm.
And then when you switch him back to zone, and he looked as lost as a kid in the woods without a trail from Hansel and Gretel.
Right. Okay.
And that's what happened with Okuda, and that's why he isn't going to fit going forward because that guy's still the passing game coordinator, which means we're running 80% zone, which means getting anything for him when he looked like a bust because it was his 3rd year, even though technically he's only played a year and a half of games.
Right. So, do you think Aaron Glenn's going to be able to shore that up as the defensive coordinator?
Well, look at what we did in the offseason.
Yeah.
Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, and CJ Gardner Johnson.
Right.
That's a lot of talent to put in that defensive backfield to replace
Right.
what wasn't working.
I know y'all are pretty. I finished pretty low or high, however you want to look at it, in the allowed passing yards allowed. You're down at the bottom, so you figure that's going to shore that up for you guys a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
we were 30th in passing yards allowed. We were 31st in running yards allowed. Thank you,
Wow.
Vikings, for being worse at that.
Right. Yeah, that's
And
true.
they got where everybody said, "Oh, we got better by subtraction." And I was like, "You can't get better by subtraction when you lose all pro talent."
Right.
I said,
That's true.
"You can say what you want. That's closer to a retool or rebuild than it
Right.
is getting better."
Okay. And you think that Jared Goff's success is was an anomaly or?
Well, I think it had a lot to do with what they did in the offseason last year. Him and Ben Johnson got together. They looked at all of his plays from the Rams.
Mhm.
They put together a playbook that worked for him,
Okay.
using a lot of the plays that they used to use
Right.
by diagnosing it by film and then putting it to
Okay.
use here and
Right.
seeing how he's still the offensive coordinator and they have a great chemistry. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, uh, Marvin Jones Jr., Josh Reynolds, just to name a few. Yeah, we've
Mhm.
got some people that are familiar with him other than Marvin Jones Jr., but I'm quite sure he did good with Matt Stafford, and he doesn't throw as hard as Matt Stafford. So if he could catch Matt Stafford's pass, he'll catch Goff's.
Right. Right. So you
I'm
think that he'll
optimistic.
have the
I think we
similar
could be
or
at
so you
least.
think
I think
he'll
our floor is 10 wins this year. I
okay.
think we're better than we were last year.
Okay, so that's your floor. Wow.
That's my floor. I think the ceiling is
Okay.
13 because there's 4 games I don't think we can win because they're on the road
Okay. Okay.
and they're against that good of teams. And I'm not going to get into which ones they are because I'm going to leave that all up for because my review is coming up in 2 weeks for the NFC North.
Oh,
So
okay,
I
you
got
gotta
to
do
give
that.
it then.
Oh, okay. Which ones do you think they're actually gonna win?
Yep.
So 13. Okay. So
13
you're
my
pretty
ceiling.
confident you're going to win that division then at least.
I think 10 wins will win the division.
Yeah.
That because you got a Hall of Fame quarterback that left the division. You got the
Right.
exact same quarterback, except in prime time with the Vikings.
Right.
Because in prime time, Kirk Cousins disappears.
Okay.
And in playoffs, look at his numbers. It's
Well, he
proven.
definitely does disappear in prime time. So I don't know why that is, but maybe it is. Maybe it
He
is the
has
bright
a
light.
3-17 record in his career on
Right.
primetime games.
Right.
And he's 1-6
And you know,
in the
it's
playoffs.
tough for me because I'm not a quarterback wins guy so much
No,
because
but
it's
I'm
not
looking
always
at
all on the quarterback. You know what I'm
if
saying?
it wasn't for the fact that it was this particular guy in
Okay.
that particular situation, that's where I'm
Yeah.
at.
Okay. I can see that.
And I've seen him throw that pick at the end of the game that cost Minnesota games in the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, he definitely underperforms in those kind of games, but
The
he
bad
has
part is,
won 3 of them, so it's not like he's totally
yeah,
in
he's
that.
won 3 primetime games, no playoff games.
Did he
The
win one
only
last year?
playoff
I thought he won one last year. I think
No,
he won one last
they
year.
got bounced by the Giants in the wild card round.
No, but I was thinking he had won one that he'd kind of like not necessarily broken the curse, but he had won at least one.
No,
But I could be wrong.
they got bounced out by the Giants, and then the
Yeah,
Giants got bounced.
yeah. Well, I knew that part, but I was thinking during
But
the
that was
regular
wild
season.
card round
Yeah.
because
Okay.
the only bye was Philly,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that gave me hope when you look at the beginning of last year.
Mhm.
Everybody said, "Oh, Philly's just going to pound them,"
Right.
and it was a 38-35 game.
Yeah.
I sit there and said, and everybody blames the interception that was a pick six. I was like, dude, it happened in the second quarter.
Right.
You have to blame the defense for not stopping them one time in the second half.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you guys were pretty close most games. I mean, y'all played everybody pretty close.
I
I'll
mean,
give you that
we
last
lost
year.
bad to you. We lost bad to the Patriots, and that was about it. That was our only 2 real blowouts. It looked
Right.
like it was gonna be a blowout in Carolina, but we came back. It was just too late.
Right. Hmm. So yeah, a great positive. Now, is that most fans that have that kind of outlook for the Lions? You think?
Yeah, pretty much, if they don't win 10 games, we're all pretty much it's a disappointing year.
Right.
You know, you got between 2 guys through the last 8 games, you had 14 and a half sacks
Hmm.
between Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston alone. That's not
Right.
including the garbage sacks that Aleem McNeil, Isaiah Buggs, Alex Anzalone, and Malcolm Rodriguez got.
Right. Okay.
And everybody's like, garbage sacks. I said, yeah, the garbage sacks were, it really wasn't because of coverage, but it was because they just finally broke through because there was getting so much pressure on the outside. They had to double the outside and the interior got open.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, but definitely. I mean, you guys stayed in games, and your defense definitely was your Achilles heel. Even though I guess your
It was
coach is a
really only
defensive
bad
guy.
those first 7 games. If you look at the points, they were historically bad. It was looking like they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league historically. They were going to beat out the 2019 Detroit Lions for points scored in the season.
Really?
And that's the NFL worst in history.
Wow.
But that also was a Matt Patricia ran defense.
Matt Patricia. Is that how y'all call
That's how I've always called him.
him? Matt Patricia. That's
You
funny.
like that one, huh?
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it.
And you did hear the rumor that Slay wanted to be traded out of Philly since he's been added back as a defensive assistant coach
Oh,
in Philly.
really?
Yeah, Matt Patricia's in Philly.
And he wanted to get traded out of there?
He wants out of there because
Who did?
he's the reason why
Really?
he
I
left
didn't hear
Detroit.
that. Really? I didn't
Matt
hear.
Patricia, 100% is the reason why Slay left
Well,
Detroit.
well, he's not good at offense either.
We all knew that was going to be a disaster in training.
Yeah, they tried. I guess they tried him. Belichick wanted to try him on offense. Maybe he was a little better there.
Hmm
Yeah, that was not good either.
His only claim to fame, I drew up the play that won the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
So, all right. And what is your floor and ceiling for next year
For the
for
Cowboys,
for the Cowboys? Yeah,
um,
because I'm kind of feeling it's right where I think the Lions are because of your division.
right. You're
I think you're
probably
in that
about
same boat
right.
in that 10 to 13.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 10 is probably the kind of the bottom for the Cowboys. Um, I haven't done a game by game exactly, but I did predict that we would win 13 games this year. So
So yeah, that would fall right in line with what I'm thinking for the Lions. I
right,
just
maybe
and
we'll
that's
meet
gonna
in the
be good.
NFC Championship or something.
That December 30th game, that Saturday night game, when we come to
Uh huh.
Dallas is gonna be
Right.
huge.
It might be that might actually have some playoff implications there for seeding.
It could it could end the chance of
I-
either
If we're
team.
both right.
If we're both right, it could end the chance of either team winning their division
Could
or
yeah.
just
It
affect their
could
seeding.
right.
One or
It
the
could
other.
be for first, second place or something like that, or maybe even
Right.
third place or whatever.
Oh, yeah, third, fourth. That's what I'm thinking. Because I think if it ends up tied, it'll be that, okay, what was your heads up because your record is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because that
Right.
goes first. And then it's, well, they tied. What the hell we do now?
Right.
Yeah, I'm calling out
We
Pittsburgh.
that'd be crazy if we tied.
It'd be crazy, but
Yeah.
it would be good at the same time.
Yeah, it'd be good and crazy. It
Be-
just depends on how
The
it works
reason
out.
why is because we're not in the same division. So if we both end
Right.
up with a tie, and then
Right. So
another
it doesn't
team
count
matches our
against you.
wins, the tie would give us the edge in the conference, in the division.
Right. So then you'd have to look at your conference schedule probably. Whoever had a
Mhm.
better conference schedule.
And
And
another thing that gave
usually
me
we have a
hope,
pretty decent conference schedule.
yeah, usually you guys go either 4-2, at worst 3-3 every year,
Mhm.
is what I've
Right.
seen.
Yeah.
And if for some reason, why do the Giants go into Dallas and beat you? I don't get that. And then you guys go back and beat them at home. It
It's
makes no
just one of
sense.
those rivalries. Yeah, it's just one of
I
those
mean, I
rivalries.
understand rivalries are rivalries, but you see it all the time with you two teams in particular. I don't know why.
Well, us in Washington also the same, similar something similar. Things like that happen.
Yeah, but it's an every other year thing. It's either you guys sweep them one year or the next year you split, but it's the away team wins each time.
Right.
And
Yeah, it's
everybody's
just
like,
I don't
everybody says, "What do you mean?" I said, "When Dallas is really rolling good, Washington has no shot."
know. Yeah, that's true.
No, I'm
Most of
just,
the time.
and
Yeah.
I'm speaking as an outsider just watching. I've
Right.
watched it for
Right.
years. I
Right.
said, Washington hasn't been a great team since that year, Robert Griffin's rookie year and Kirk Cousins is backup.
Right. Yeah, that's been a
Everybody's like,
while.
I said, what? I said, that was the last time they were a good team. The last time they won the division, they were not a good team. They were 7-9 in a 16-game
If
season and got to the
yeah.
playoff.
Yeah. It feels like 3-ish year ago, 3 or 4 years ago, they had a shot to make the playoffs. They had a decent team. I don't remember if it was I
Yeah,
can't
but
remember
they
if
ended up
Heineke was there.
losing their last two games, and it knocked
Right.
them out.
Yeah. And that year they beat us in a I think in the end of the year they beat us and it was just it was a bad loss for us that year.
Yeah, because you guys were just starting to get a little bit of a groove back. I think you were on a 2-game win streak when you faced them,
Right. Right.
and they were starting to flounder
Right.
back
And
and
then they
forth,
ended up
waffling
beating
each
us.
week.
Right.
And you losing to them at that time, I think it was like 4, 5 weeks left in the season at the time.
Yeah, I think it took us out of the division or something.
It took you out of the division race, which basically eliminated your playoff chance because the division was
Right.
playing so badly that year. It wasn't just
It
you,
was
it was
close. It
every
was
team
close.
in the
Yeah, I
division
think
was playing horrible.
but they were
That
all
was the year.
playing to
That was the first year
get in the
Saquon got
wild
hurt,
card.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Saquon was hurt.
Yeah.
Um, Wentz was the PTSD case. He still is.
PTSD.
He's been given PTSD because BDN, BD Nick, winning that Super Bowl when he was an MVP candidate, it messed
Yeah.
with his head. He never came back from that.
Yeah, it does seem like he didn't come back from that. I mean, he was playing some of his best football before he got hurt.
Right. And it was his
Yeah.
rookie year. That was the crazy thing. He was lighting it
Right.
up.
Yeah.
Another one of
You
those
could be right.
Division II quarterbacks. Everybody says they're not worth nothing.
And he's still out there, right, as a free agent, I think.
Yeah, he's a
Someone not
free agent because nobody wants that PTSD case as a starter.
somebody will pick him up. I think somebody will
Like
pick
we
him up.
thought somebody would have picked up Dalvin Cook. We thought somebody would have picked up Kareem Hunt by now.
Right. Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
but
there's some good
running
running
backs are a
backs in free
premium.
agency right now that are just sitting there going,
Yeah. Well, I know DeAndre Hopkins is probably one of the biggest ones that we're surprised that isn't signed yet.
after I read what his GM and the coaches in Arizona said about him, I'm not
Right.
surprised he's not signed. He doesn't like the practice. He's not a good leader anymore in the locker room, and he tends to be a distraction.
Mm. Yeah, but
So,
you think you're
but
probably
when you're talking about a vet that's one of the top 10 talents, and they're supposed to be
but
that
at
type
this
of guy where the other players look up to,
right.
if you got a young team, you can't bring him in.
At the same time, though, they probably badmouth him. They're trying to badmouth him a little bit, so it's probably a little exaggerated. Some of that's
I don't
exaggerated.
think it was.
Some of it could be. I think it's a little exaggerated.
Who knows?
Yeah, because they're on the way out. They don't want him. They
So
don't want
are you
help
pretty
him out.
much right there with me? The Cowboys 10-13.
Well, I'm saying 13. That's just my prediction at this point. I just hadn't put out the actual games. So we'll probably do that here in a few weeks. Kind of put down and lay down what games we think they're going to win and lose. But I took a brief look at the schedule, and that's kind of where I landed. Just because I think our defense is going to be better than last year, and we were pretty good last year. We shored up the line on the interior to kind of shore up the run. That was kind of our weakness, and I think they're going to play Micah Parsons uh, a lot more on the edge as opposed to having him go back and forth. And so I think that's
Sticking him
going to
more
help
at
our
outside
defense.
linebacker than DN because of his size.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know what.
As a pass rush outside linebacker is what I'm
Yeah,
getting at because his
right,
coverage
right.
skills are just okay, and
Right,
that's where he's also a liability. And he's also because he has that tendency to over pursue on the guys coming around the corner with the running backs. If they do one cut, he misses.
right.
That's what I've
But
seen.
he's got great catch up speed.
Oh yeah, he's got great catch up speed, but
Yeah,
but that's the difference between a 2 yard loss and 7 yards gain from that spot is when
right,
he over pursues.
right. And I think he's learned a lot. He's just an open book. He's willing to learn. I think this year he's learned from some of those things, being able to read what the offense is trying to do, and that they're trying to get him to over pursue. Right. Sometimes there's certain things that they run, and because they want him to over pursue, so they can run up the middle on him or do something, something that'll take him out of the
Right.
picture. And so I think he's studied all that. I think he's looking at all that, and I think he's going to be a lot better handling those situations. And I think that just leaving him in the edge, and then you can and the good thing about him is that you can always put him down as a rusher, and then have him play in coverage because he's got that kind of speed. And so you don't have to always rush him. You can play him, because a lot of times, people will do that. The edge rusher will kind of play back in coverage a little, and he'd be perfect for that because he can cover those tight ends and those kind of. So I think they're going to mix up the way they rush him. They're not going to rush him 100% of the time. They're going to mix it up and maybe have him play, set back in coverage, even though he's on the edge. And they even on a passing down, they may not rush him. They may have him just play back. And I think they're going to mix it up a
Nice.
little bit with him. Yeah.
I like it. The only pick that you guys made in the draft that concerned me was at the end of the first round when you took Mozzie Smith, and
Right.
that's because taking another Michigan defensive lineman in Dallas. So didn't they learn anything from Taco Charlton?
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
but pretty much, I had a buddy that called it. He goes, "You watch, Dallas is going to reach and take Mozzie Smith in the first round at the end of the round."
right.
And I was like, "That's a bold
Yeah.
statement." And then you guys did it, and I was like,
Yeah, I didn't
"Who
want him
does
to
he
do
know?"
that, man. Yeah. I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, I understand why they did it, because they did need to shore up the middle of that line a little
Mhm.
bit and get some more youth in there and get another big body in there. So he probably works out. I think if, Taco was. More of an edge guy.
I know. It just
Yeah.
I I knew Taco was not going to be as good as he was touted because he was a combine guru guru learner. You know what I'm saying? He went to that
Right.
combine school. He
Right.
learned how to do the combine stuff.
Right.
So by doing that, he was able to boost his draft stock dramatically without the statistical production in college.
Right. Yeah, and then we took another tight end because you know we just
Yeah,
like
you didn't
taking
want to
tight
keep the good
ends.
one.
Yeah, we didn't want to pay him.
I know. And you guys drafted him.
Yeah, we drafted Shoemaker from. He's also from Michigan,
Yeah, yeah.
or
Hey,
Schoonmaker,
but
whatever his name
Shoemaker,
is.
what I do like about him is he's aggressive and blocking downfield for the running backs. That's a good
Right,
thing for you guys because with
and
the
I
way
think
it's
that's
going in
probably where they'll
college,
use him more, kind of in the blocking. But I think they'll try and, like I said,
but he's a
maybe
solid red zone threat too,
right.
down there on
Yeah,
the goal line.
right. And I think they'll use him in the red zone as a blocker, or maybe pretend to block and then go out for a pass, that kind of thing. But yeah, we'll see how he goes. Hopefully, he does well. We kept Jake Ferguson, and we have Hendershot, and so I think we got enough at tight end. But I still think we need to fill in somebody else at running back. I still feel like we need that kind of big back.
The pure pounder.
Yeah, the guy that at the goal line, or maybe where you need those 1 or 2 yards. We need one of those guys, and so we'll see if we do it by the end of or by the beginning of the season. But I'm hoping they're going to end up picking up Zeke. I mean, that's a prediction. A lot of people think he's going to come back and then he's going to be basically,
The goal
uh,
line stand guy.
yeah, your goal line stand, your get the tough yards guy. He's a great at in the pass game, picking up blitzes, and he's great at that. And so they're probably going to end up picking up and probably going to overpay for him just because, like I said, Jerry overpays for people, for players that he drafts. But then he's not going to be getting as much as he was, when he left. But he's probably going to get a little more than probably a veteran, would get in his position.
I think he'll get a mid contract. It's
Probably
not
something
going to
like
be.
that.
It's not going to be that astronomical one like he got in the second contract.
Right? Yeah.
I'm thinking. Let's see. Trying to remember what it was. The franchise tag for Saquon Barkley was at 11.5 million, if I remember right, and it was 13.5 for a tight end. So it's going to be somewhere right around there,
Yeah.
between
I'm
10.5
thinking.
and 13.5.
I'm thinking Z. I'm thinking they're going to try and get him around the eight mark.
And I think he'll decline it.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's gonna have. I think Zeke wants to come back because he wants to finish his career as a Cowboy. That's my thought. That's why I think they're gonna offer him the 8 or 9 million and say, "Hey Zeke, this is what we got. We need you, but we're not gonna overpay." And I think at the same time he doesn't have a market right now. I mean, there's not a lot of people wanting to pay him. So the Cowboys are going to be the team that pays him the most. Every other team's not going to pay him 8 or 9 million to come be basically a short
Well, there's
yardage
not a lot of
guy.
teams that have more than 13 million available right now. And this is where I'm getting that number off the top of my head when I looked at what the franchise tag was for
Mhm.
Barkley and
Right.
then what the tight ends got. I think that's what he's going to ask for.
Okay.
And they may haggle and get it down to 9.
Right. Yeah. I just think the based on the what teams are probably going to offer him, I think we're going to pay more than the other teams, and that's why he's going to end up going there.
Right. But I'm
I don't think
saying
they're going to give him that 11, 12 million. I think he's going to end up getting the 8.
right.
Because most
That's what
teams
he's going to shoot for. You watch.
yeah, yeah, he'll shoot for something like that, but I don't think Jerry's going to pay him that.
That's
I
where I
mean,
was at. I was like, man, he was just making 21.5 million a year.
yeah, yeah,
So he's going to shoot for half.
yeah, because
He's
you
going
think
to do
about
the
it,
Eddie
we
Murphy
can't
ex-wife
give Zeke,
thing. I want
yeah,
half.
yeah, we can't pay Zeke that much because we got to pay CeeDee Lamb soon. We got to pay.
If it's a
We
1 year
got to.
deal, you can afford to do it.
Yeah, maybe on a
That's what I'm
1 year
saying.
deal,
If it's
but
a 1 year
I'm,
deal as a prove it deal to come back for 1 year,
mm, I don't know if Zeke will do that though. I think he wants a long term contract. I
he
think
may
he
want
wants
a
a three
long
or four
term
year deal.
contract, but he ain't got long term health anymore.
Well, I'm saying he's going to have to compromise if he wants a long term contract. He's not going to
He's
get
he's
that.
he's starting to look like a mini version of Eddie Lacy, though as much weight as he's gained.
He actually looks pretty good right now.
Come on, I like giving him crap.
Oh, okay. I was like, he
When
actually
he
looks
was
pretty
when
good
he
right now.
came in, he was so fit,
Yeah,
and
he
he got
was.
hurt at the end of that 1 year
Right.
after he signed that second contract, and he came in and he looked like he'd been drinking beer with Barney on The Simpsons, and just as fast because he had that
Yeah.
pot belly.
Yeah. Yeah, he had to work himself back into shape. But last year he came in good shape, but he was just banged up all year. So
I think he came back the year before too soon, and
yeah,
it
he
lingered
did.
through to this year.
Yeah.
When a lot of players, they don't like making that half money on a non fully guaranteed contract for being
Right.
injured.
Right.
So they try to play through it or come back too early and they get hurt again and they never really get over it until they finally get to where they can't play.
Right. And that's why I don't want them to bring back Pollard too soon, right? I want them to
Didn't he
let
break
him
his
get
leg?
yeah, get somebody yeah, he's I think a
He
femur.
broke his leg. Well, that's why they brought in Deuce Vaughn, so they might not have to do that. Even though he was a seventh round pick, he was slated to be a fifth, maybe a
Right.
late fourth.
Right.
And they're no different. And I'm going to say this: that's why Minnesota Vikings didn't mind getting rid of Dalvin Cook
Right.
because they picked up Dwayne McBride out of UAB. And
Okay.
I'm sorry, talent wise, I think Dwayne McBride is one of the most talented running backs in day three, period. And I think he could have went day two.
Right. Yeah.
And the
He
potential was
was
there.
pretty talented. But was it Auburn or who was it that had them? Uh, was it Alabama, Birmingham? That
University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Birmingham. Yeah, yeah. He
Lasery.
was. I was surprised he went that late too. But that's what happens is that a lot of running. It seems like there's a lot of running backs in the draft that you can get late because after the first round, everybody's addressing needs, and not everybody needs a running back. So you end up getting some good value in the fifth, sixth, seventh round.
And after his showing at the combine, the wide receiver that I was surprised that fell to be a UDFA was the kid out of West Virginia, Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Mm,
6'4", 220 or 230 pounds, runs a 4.3940 with a 40-inch
mm.
vertical and falls out of the draft. How? How? And what was
It's
it? A
crazy.
7.8% drop rate in college.
Who was this? What's his name?
Bryce
Did he get
Ford
signed?
Wheaton.
Did he get signed by somebody?
Yeah, he was picked up as a UDFA for the Giants.
Oh, for the Giants. Okay.
Not like they didn't need him.
Well, yeah, they definitely needed him. They need
I mean, they just
some
overpaid.
playmakers.
What was it for 2 years? $39 million for Kenny Galladay to make 8 catches and no touchdowns.
Well, look at his quarterback. I mean, they overpaid for him too.
That's fine, but that quarterback threw some balls that he should have caught. That's
Yeah, that's
Kenny
true too.
Galladay.
But yeah,
I like trashing him too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They definitely. I mean, you're right. He should have caught some of those, but
I mean,
at the same time,
he let the
sometimes
penny drop.
it's kind of one of those things like you get a quarterback that doesn't always either throw it on time or throw it right, and so you're not expecting a good ball, and so cause sometimes they surprise you with throwing you a good ball, and you're like, oh wow, it's right in my hands. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of the opposite effect of a good quarterback. You're expecting the ball to go to behind you or in front of you, and it's like right at you, and you're like, whoa, it's right, it's perfect, it's a good pass. So it kind of surprises you, but
Oh, damn
I
it.
thought it was gonna go over here. You're used to like having to reach out and grab it or adjust to the ball, and it comes right at you. So,
All right. So let's talk about your podcast and how long you've been doing it and what is it all about?
yeah. So the Bottom Line Sports, our biggest following is on Facebook. We have about 1,200 members on the Facebook group, and we don't have a limited. We on YouTube. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, but we try and stream on different places. But our Facebook is where we got the biggest traction. But it's me and another soldier friend of mine. We're both in the army and active duty right now. Yeah, I'm here in Killeen, here at Fort Cavazos, and he's over in New York, over at Fort Drum. And we were in Hawaii at one point together, and we've been friends ever since we met in Hawaii.
Y'all
and
weren't
we
with
just
the 25th
podcast.
Light, were you?
What's that?
You weren't with the 25th Light, were you?
I wasn't with 25th. I think he was. I'm trying to
Okay.
remember. No, I think we were both with the Garrison. So yeah, we started with a. It was two of us. It was actually another guy named Les, and he couldn't keep going, and Cantina had come on already. Uh, a few months after we started, so we've been going for about 2 years. In May, it's been 2 years that we started, and Les had to drop out, and then Canteen, me and him kept it going, and we just recently brought on Omar's kind of been a regular co-host with us. You met
Cool.
him, yeah, with Ball and Buds, Sports and Entertainment. So he's kind of our regular co-host. That's kind of our model is kind of have three people that we bounce stuff off of. I'm kind of the mediator, and the two guys I kind of ask them the questions, and I'm kind of the in between person, adding my commentary, and we like to have fun. I throw in a bunch of sound effects and all this other stuff in there, laugh tracks and whatnot after somebody says something funny.
I
I
feel
didn't
you.
want to mess
Yeah.
up your podcast and just throw laugh tracks on
Oh,
it,
you could have. You could have. You could have thrown one in after I said Matt Patricia.
Yeah, so uh yeah, it's just one of those things. We just like to have fun. We talk about all kinds of sports. So we're heavy into NFL and college football and NBA. That's kind of where we land as far as our. But we delve into, especially with Omar. He's a big baseball guy, so we delve in a little more into baseball, and we let him kind of use his expertise as more of a baseball aficionado. And sometimes we'll talk about big fights if there's a big fight on or something like that. We'll delve into other stuff, but for the most part, that's kind of our lane: NFL, football, and NBA, and a little bit of March Madness. Some of it, when that comes around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've heard of me before from Dan, Dave, but I actually do write for the South Florida Tribune. They have a subsidiary called the Motor City Tribune about the NFL and the Detroit Lions.
Oh, okay.
It, that's an online publication.
Oh, okay.
And then I also have my own channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Detroit Lions. If I remove both our photos, you'd see in the background it's Dan Campbell taking a bite out of Aaron Rodgers' knee.
So is that is that like a light bulb moment? Oh man, I got to do a podcast called Kneecap Biting. As soon as
Yeah,
Dan Campbell said
yeah,
that.
it was because I watched that presser in January when he first got hired, and he goes, "You knock us down, we're gonna bite a kneecap. You're gonna knock us down again, we'll bite off the other one." I was like, "Okay, I love this guy."
So for the most part, did that play well? I mean, because I know a lot of the sports media were like, "What is he doing? What is he talking?" I mean, they kind of gave him a hard time about that.
Us fans liked it because it was different. It was somebody that was lighthearted, but he was serious about football.
Right.
It's just a different take, and it's something we all like.
Right.
There's a few
Okay.
that hated it in the beginning, but then after,
We
once we
started
started
winning.
winning at the end of the season,
Yeah, winning kind of cures all things.
and then they were like, "All right, I can see that there's a direction now." And everybody was like, "Man, we're gonna do good this year. We just got a new coach." I was like, "No, we stripped this team to the studs. We drafted a bunch of people, and
Right.
we have more UDFAs starting on the roster than we have vets. That's
Yeah.
not a good combination."
Right. Yeah.
But we slowly but surely have gutted everything that the Quinn Trasha era has brought into Detroit.
That the what?
The Quinn Trasha, Boob Quinn and Matt Patricia.
Oh. Okay. When you say I'm weird, it's hard for me to. I
Yeah,
don't know the coaches that well to decipher it.
Bob Quinn was the GM that hired Matt Patricia.
Oh, okay.
So I call it the Quinn Trasha era.
Who was that last coach? The guy that kind of got into it with Harbaugh. I kind of liked him.
Oh,
Remember,
Jim
remember they got
Schwartz.
in this
Yeah, I
handshake
liked him.
thing.
That was before Caldwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his name? I can't remember his name.
Jim Schwartz, the old defensive
Schwartz. Yeah,
coordinator
I
from the
liked
Tennessee
Schwartz.
Titans. I loved
I
him.
thought
I,
I thought he was good.
I think they cut his career a little short because we had those two. After we made the playoffs, he had an 8-8 year, and then he had a 7-9 year, and they decided to part ways instead of re-upping him. And I think we should have at least re-upped him for 2 more years to see what he would do with
Right.
the defense he built.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
the
Because
defense was good. It was
it
the
seemed like he was
offense that
headed
was
in the right
failing.
direction. Yeah. It seemed like he was headed in the right direction, and just
And the first year of Caldwell, that defense proved he built it right.
right.
Everybody's like, "What do you mean that he built it right?" I said that he walked into a defense that was ready to dominate when he
Right.
got here, and it did because we gave up an NFL. It's now the second least in the history of the NFL, 59.9 yards in a season
Mm.
running against.
Right.
That's never heard of for an average. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's one
Yeah,
other team
that's
that
true.
beat it, and it was 59.8, and it was the Ravens. I think that year they were so good with Lamar's rookie year.
Right. Mhm.
I said, so
Yeah.
you've got an AFC team and an NFC team that have the two most historically lowest running against defenses ever. When you're only
Right.
allowing a team to run less than 60 yards a game,
Right.
that means they cannot dominate the time of possession. Your offense will be on the field a lot.
So your coach right before Dan was Pat Patricia or whatever his name called.
Yeah,
What do you
Matt
call him?
Patricia.
Matt Patricia.
Yeah, the bearded pencil holder.
Now, did he? I mean, did he from the beginning that you did y'all not like him, or was it
I
just
wanted
evident?
him fired after the first regular season game versus the Jets when we lost
Wow.
45-7. No, 6 because our kicker missed the extra point.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. Just after that game.
I wanted him fired right then.
Wow.
The only touchdown we scored was because Glover Quinn was in the right area for a bad pass from Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Wow. So you knew right away he wasn't
Yeah.
the guy.
Or no, excuse me, that was Quandre Diggs. Glover Quinn was already gone. Glover
Yeah.
Quinn left the offseason when we got Matt Patricia, and thank God for him.
Right. How long did he? Was it two seasons you had Matt Patricia?
3,
Was it 3? Wow.
3. It would have been 4.
3 painful seasons, I can tell just by the
Oh,
look on your face.
13, 29, and 1.
Wow.
Oh wait, no, 2. He had 2 ties, both of them against the Cardinals. That tells you how bad the
Wow.
team is when you can only tie the Cardinals.
Right, exactly. That's crazy.
And yeah, did we have a bad year when Dan Campbell and them got here and all the other teams in the North made fun of him saying, "Oh, he's going to be a bad coach," blah 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 blah.
Right, right.
I sit there, I said, "Well, that's funny, the Packer fans especially."
Mhm.
I said, "You guys had a Hall of Fame quarterback, yet versus our coach that you guys say is a fraud, you went one
Right.
and three against the last 2 seasons. Who is it, Matt LaFraud or is it Dan Campbell's a fraud? Which is it?"
Right? Well,
I
we're
like
gonna see
picking on
this year. We're gonna see this year.
him. Yeah,
So
Jordan.
y'all afraid of Jordan?
Um, Not really.
No?
He's an unknown. I can't be scared of an unknown. You can't be. You
Right.
can't play scared.
Right. Right.
What you do know is they do have the best running back duo in the division between
Right.
Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, also known as Quadzilla.
Well, you figure they're gonna lean heavily on those guys, you
Hmm.
know, and
They're gonna have to.
bring
I
in
think
Jordan
to protect
slowly.
Jordan Love, they need to run about 65% of their plays.
Right. Yeah.
Because
And until you figure out if Jordan Love can play. Can he be a quality passer?
here's the reason why I'm going to say I'm not scared of Jordan Love. If they thought Jordan Love could play, they'd have just picked up the 5th-year option,
Right.
instead of overpaying over the 5th-year option and not guaranteeing the full salary for 1 year.
Right. Makes sense. I mean, because 'cause he's
I
been
sit
there
there and
long
said,
enough, they know what
everybody
he
said,
is.
"What do you mean?" I sit there, I said, "They made him a tradable commodity as soon as they did that."
Yeah.
I said, "When you don't fully guarantee a 1-year contract with a quarterback, that means that you're not sure he's going to be good his first year as a starter. And if he's not,
Right.
you're going to trade him away to somebody that needs a quarterback because there's only going to be 2 good quarterbacks in next year's draft to start.
I heard it was
Maybe
pretty
Quinn
deep. It
Ewers
was
might
pretty
be
deep.
good."
I heard it's gonna be more deeper at least than this year.
I still think it's only going to be 3 or 4 good ones that are first round worthy. The 2 that I'm
Really?
sure that are going to be at the top of the draft, Drake May and Caleb Williams.
Right, of
I
course.
said, then you got Quinn Ewers, and I think there's one other one out there that's going to be decent.
Penix, didn't they say Penix?
Yeah, Penix, that's the other one. I think
Yeah.
those 4 are your first rounders.
Right.
And
I
I'm going to
mean,
say this, much to the dismay of all Colts fans out there, Will Levis will have a better career as a quarterback than Anthony Richardson.
really. I mean, that's
Look at
possible because he did drop in the draft, and a lot of times you end up having a kind of a chip on your shoulder, and you end up really wanting to show people. You know
Great
what I'm
show,
saying?
boys. That's from
Hey,
one of the guys you guys.
oh,
Mooney Reed.
okay. Hey, thanks. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, so I don't know. You may be right about that, but I feel like just the athleticism that the guy has, it just it's
Just because a
hard to
guy's
ignore it.
athletic does not make him a great
Well,
quarterback. Ask
not
Malik Willis and ask
necessarily,
Desmond
right?
Ritter.
But he's got all the tools that a great quarterback can.
I disagree.
You don't think so? He's got an
Here's
arm. He's got legs. He's
okay.
got
He's got a big arm.
mobility.
He's got mobility. That's great. He'll be another one of those great running backs that can throw the football. This is why I say this. He
Uh,
has the worst completion percentage for a starter in 1 year as a quarterback of any of those mobile quarterbacks ever. 53.8%,
right. But he
which
didn't get
means
he
he
didn't
has
he
to
didn't get
develop a lot.
yeah, but he didn't get a lot of time as a starter either.
Yeah, he got
To
one
be
season.
fair,
What I'm saying is,
yeah,
so he shouldn't be proclaimed the starter as soon as they draft him like they did in Indianapolis.
right. Oh, they already said he's the starter.
Yeah, they're going to start him over Minshew. Minshew at least had success as a starter for 1 year,
Oh, okay. So they're gonna
and
start
I
him
think
over
they should have
Minshew.
started Minshew this year, and then
Well,
if it was flailing, put him in.
yeah. I mean that kind of makes sense. Bring him in slow, but I think they figured they got a good enough team because I mean they've basically been a quarterback away for the last 3 seasons.
They've been two wide
Since
receivers
that,
away for those quarterbacks those last 3 seasons.
but they've been pretty. I
They've
mean
got
they've been
Michael Pittman,
solid though.
and they had T.Y. Hilton,
Right.
and the last 2
Early
years they
on,
haven't had T.Y. Hilton.
that's true.
So all
But it
they've
seemed
had is
like
Michael Pittman and a tight end and a good
when
O-line.
when they have the Chargers quarterback, what was his name?
Phil Rivers.
Philip Rivers. Yeah, when they had him,
They
I
made the
feel like
playoffs with him, didn't they?
that's what I'm saying. That team is still intact for the most part.
No. That was the year Ty left too.
Right, right. But I'm saying I think the line is
Defensively,
still
they're decent.
solid. I think the
Offensive
defense is
line,
still
they're
solid.
solid.
They
But
still got
wide
that running
receiver
back.
room, nah. Running back room, Jonathan Taylor's starting to come up lame a little bit.
Right. I mean, yeah, you've got to make something. Maybe that's why they're saying, "Hey, let's take a chance on the rookie. Hopefully, he pops right away." And there's something special.
I just see a lot of bust potential in him.
Yeah, I mean, there is some of that.
Not
He's
some.
one of yeah, but
He's
he's one of those
he's
guys.
either going to be super great or gone.
Right. This is true. I mean, I know what you're saying. I just feel like the the ceiling is so high with him.
Will Levis had a really bad senior year, but you got to look at what they lost the year before in his junior
Right.
year.
Right.
They lost their 3 starting wide receivers. They lost 4 of their old linemen.
Mhm.
He had to run for his life. Half the time he was running before the ball got to him.
Who, Will Levis? You're talking about Will Levis?
Will Levis that year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and he was pretty competitive in considering that Kentucky's not really a football school, so to speak.
Yeah,
It's
and
more of a
I've
basketball
said
school.
this before,
And
and
then
I'm
it
going
was
to say it
and the
again.
SEC is tough.
Never draft quarterbacks from basketball schools.
Wait. I don't know if you can hear that, but
Yeah, I heard it.
oh, okay.
Like it.
I didn't know.
The old
But that's
70s laugh track.
yeah. Yeah, so that makes sense. But
But at the same time, I think a lot of Bears fans would rather have Mitch Trubisky back than Justin Fields.
you think so?
I've
Wow.
heard it.
Really?
But
I feel like
also, I don't think they
just
did enough to shore up that O-line to progress Fields enough for them to want to keep him. This is just
I
my
mean,
opinion
right.
because you
Yeah,
got a GM that didn't draft him.
right.
He's slated to be this great talent, But he's another one of these QBs in the NFL that hasn't passed for over 60%, and he does one read and run. I watched a lot of
Right.
game film on him. If you watch
Right.
him, if his first read's not open, he runs and he misses people that are open between 5 and 15 yards downfield, which would have been a first down rather than trying to run.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he definitely's got a lot to grow. He doesn't go through his progressions. He makes a one read, maybe the second one, and then he's gone.
Yeah, as soon as he gets that second read, if he gets there,
Right.
his head's going down and he's tucking the football.
Right.
And with the new RPO rules, I don't know if you noticed that there was a sixth rule that was added this year.
Oh, was there? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the new RPO rule. Let me go over it real quick before we
I,
sign
I
off.
heard something about it, but that's going to
If the
affect some of those
quarterback
guys.
tucks the ball to run and he runs outside of the tackle box,
Uh
he
huh.
is then considered a running back.
Okay.
So if he shuffle passes a ball forward
Uh huh.
or pitches it forward, it's an
Okay.
illegal forward pass now outside the tackle box.
What?
Yep.
That doesn't make sense though, because you
Yeah.
can always pitch it forward. It's just a lateral.
No, because once you're running, you can't be even a running back. If he's going to pitch it to somebody, he can't pitch it forward even if he's behind the line. It has to be a lateral or behind him, remember?
Right.
That's why the
Okay.
flea flicker works because the running back runs forward and he pitches it back to the quarterback.
So you can't,
So
because
once you
remember
leave the
they
tackle
used
box,
to,
you have to leave the tackle box. So, in other words, if
but
you
as
tuck
a
the ball
runner,
to
right?
run,
Can you still
that's it.
can you still throw it out to the wide receiver and he can throw a pass? I've seen them do that.
Yeah, you
Not
can
very
pitch it,
often.
but it has to be a pitch. It can't be a forward pass at all. Remember, because that's what that was. It was a weird screenplay, like a flea flicker, where the running back or quarterback acted like a running back and then pitched it back to a wide receiver.
Right. So you can't pitch it forward, even behind the line of scrimmage, after the tackle boxes. And that's anybody, quarterback, running back, anybody. Is that right?
Yep, you cannot.
Wow.
So that shuffle pass, and here's the three quarterbacks that do that the most
So that kind
outside
of
of the
takes the
box.
option away too. That kind of option read, that read option.
It's about the the run play option. It's that
Yeah.
play that they're specifically trying to limit it. So in other words, if they want to
But
think about
why?
passing, they
I
got to
wonder
keep
why they
that
want.
ball up when they're
Okay.
running out of the pocket. That's it. If
Oh,
they want
okay.
to pass it, if they tuck
Okay.
it like a running back, they're
Okay.
considered a running back from now on.
Oh, so you can pass it outside the tackle box as long as you're not tucking it like a running back.
Right. It's tucking it like a running back is the key
Now
to
we're
the
gonna have some
rule.
kind of tuck roll now. It's gonna
Yeah,
come.
there's a new tuck rule in town.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna come back into play. The tuck roll. Really? Okay, so as long as you don't tuck it, you can run outside and
Hmm.
pass it forward. Okay.
Right.
So it's
You can
it's
still
just
do
the tuck.
bootlegs. You can still do the bootleg
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff like that
Okay.
because you're holding it like a quarterback then.
So what if you're reaching out and you pull it back? You can still do that, the
Well, yeah,
RPO
that's
one, right?
that's a play action. That's play action.
Right. Right.
That's fine.
Well, I mean, you know how they ride and decide, they maybe they hand it and then they pull it back because they can still do that, right?
As long as they stop, you know what I mean, and set their feet.
Okay.
It,
Okay.
it's going to be fun to see how this is called
That's what
throughout
I'm
the
saying,
year.
because that seems like it'd be a hard play to decipher if he's
To me,
tucking it or
to
not.
me, it's not that hard though, really, because there's a way you hold the ball as a quarterback, and there's a way you hold it when you're going to run.
That makes sense, yeah.
So as long as they're not tucking it in next to their side like a
Okay.
running back.
So, I mean, they're gonna have to kinda some of those guys that like to run, running quarterbacks, they're gonna have to, "Hey, don't tuck it unless you're gonna run."
But what's funny is guess who does it more than any other QB outside of the pocket?
Who does it more?
And it's 38% of his passes.
He tucks it and then passes it?
Hmm.
Really? Who's
Joe
that?
Burrow.
Oh, wow. I didn't
You know,
realize
he
that.
tucks it down and starts to look like he's going to run towards the line, and he gets past the tackle box, and all of a sudden he shuffles it forward to Joe Mixon or to the tight end.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah, I've noticed that, now that you say that, that's true.
It's going
Huh.
to affect him the most out of all of them because he tucks that ball when he runs. He doesn't keep it up like a quarterback.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, he does do
And
that a
Pat
lot. Now that
Mahomes is second place. You believe it or
yeah,
not,
he does do that too.
the one that does it the least,
I was
I
gonna
already
say Patrick
mentioned him.
Mahomes.
It's Justin Fields.
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't do that because once he decides to run, he runs.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't tuck it and not run.
Right.
If he tucks it, he's running.
And hey, David Burns, I see you're a Chicago fan. That's great. And I love that little comment he did. Let me post that up here.
What do you say? That's
That's
funny that
funny.
now.
Now. Tell Dak to stop waiting to the last minute to score a touchdown in playoffs when a 49ers rookie quarterback, Brock Purdy, showed y'all Cowboys fans how it's done.
Oh wow. They wait till the last minute to win and end up unsuccessful at the end, but
Yeah, Cowboys' biggest problem is they wait till the last minute to try and win and end up unsuccessful at the end, but we take Zeke Elliott from the Cowboys. Zeke, we need good luck with that. I hope he works out for you. But you guys drafted somebody I like too, if I remember right, as a running back. Was it Tajay
who?
Spears?
Us?
No, the
Us?
Bears.
Or the
The Bears.
Bears? Who'd they draft?
Didn't they get back Tajay Spears?
As a running back?
Yeah, is
Let me see who they
that
got.
right?
I had it pulled
I'm
up
trying to
here.
remember.
See if I have it right here. Tajay Spears. They got Roshan Johnson from
Oh
Texas.
yeah, the
He's
backup to
actually
be
pretty.
behind. I love that kid.
Yeah, that kid's
That
gonna
is
be
a
good.
ground and pound guy.
Yeah, Roshan Johnson. He'll be good. He'll be
I,
good for
you
them.
know, with Khalil Herbert, who's more of that scat back style,
Right.
it's that 1-2 punch you want.
Right. Yeah.
And what I
That's
like about
that will
Roshan
be a 1-2
Johnson is
punch.
even though he didn't get a lot of snaps, I think he had right around 500 snaps. He only had one fumble in his entire college career
That was against us, I think, too.
against Texas Tech.
I think so. I think we won that game off his fumble.
Yeah,
Yeah. Last year. We ended up winning that game.
I knew they got one of the. There was like five guys outside of the first round that I wanted, and one of them was Jahmyr Gibbs because he was slated to be a second rounder.
Jameer Gibbs.
He was slated to be a second rounder.
Uh-huh.
Tajay Spears, Dwayne McBride,
Y'all got
Roshan
him early,
Johnson.
right? Y'all got him
What?
early. Y'all got him
Yeah,
early,
we
Jameer Gibbs.
we traded back to 12 with Arizona so they could get Paris Johnson just so the Atlanta Falcons wouldn't. Because that's what that was about. You can say what you want. That's who Arizona wanted was Paris Johnson.
Oh yeah. So
So
so that so they wouldn't get him.
yeah, so that the Atlanta Falcons couldn't take him ahead of time, they traded up with Detroit, which that tells me right there. As soon as Devin Witherspoon went from Seattle, that trade happened within 2.5 minutes during the draft,
Oh
which tells
really?
me they were never in on Jalen Carter, that Devin Witherspoon was their pick. And they expected Seattle to take Jalen Carter, so Devin Witherspoon would have fell in their laps and they were done.
Wow.
They're like, okay, let's get out of the top 10.
That kind of
Best
makes
trade
sense.
offer outside of the top 10, we're taking it.
So I was going to ask you because y'all did take Hayden Hooker, who I thought was going to be could be a quality quarterback. Is he just the future, or is it possible he sees any time in the near future?
Well, they already said that this year is going to be like a redshirt year for him, and with coming
Okay.
off an ACL, it should.
Right. Right. That
So
makes sense.
he's going to be holding the clipboard more.
Okay.
So that means we still got Nate Sudfeld,
But
also known as Suckfelt, here in Detroit. But um,
I'll give you that
what the
one.
one thing Nate Sudfeld does good is I've noticed that when Goff comes to the sidelines after a drive, he holds
Right.
that clipboard at the perfect angle to deflect glare.
So you're saying if golf goes down, you guys are in trouble.
Yeah, because well, here's the thing. What's funny is at the end of the mini camps, the OTA mini camps, Hendon Hooker was throwing the football already,
Oh, okay.
and one of the writers said if you didn't see the brace on his knee, you wouldn't have known he was hurt.
Hmm.
And
So
I'm
you
like, that,
so you think it's a possibility next year
yeah,
he could
and
start?
that's what I think it is. It's because this is next year is Goff's expiring contract.
Okay.
We kept Ben Johnson, thank God he came back. But if we have a good year offensively again, like top 5 to top 10 like we were the whole season, I don't think Ben Johnson will be an offensive coordinator anymore.
Oh, okay.
I think he'll get a head coaching job somewhere. And if that happens, that means we're starting over. Would you start over with a 35 to 40 million dollar quarterback, or would you start over with a rookie quarterback that has more athleticism and a 1.05 million dollar per year
Right.
contract? If you're speaking on team terms, you
Right.
would start with the young guy and get a OC that caters to him, right?
Yeah. That makes more sense.
Because
But I
Hendon
don't.
Hooker was still being talked about as a first round pick the day before the draft.
Yeah.
Because before he got hurt, he was head and shoulders above everybody for the Heisman.
Well, I thought you didn't like athletic quarterbacks.
There's a difference between athletic and mobile.
Right.
And everybody says, "What do you mean?" I said, "A mobile quarterback is a quarterback that tends to run more than he throws. An athletic quarterback is a guy that knows how to move the pocket and then runs when he has to."
Well, that's Patrick Mahomes, classic Patrick Mahomes, right there.
See, the
So
difference is,
you liken Hendon Hooker more to Patrick Mahomes, is what you're
yeah,
saying.
because look at what he did coming from what was it? He was at Vatech, wasn't he? Prior
No,
to
he was
coming
at
to
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Oh, I don't know where he was before
Yeah, he
Tennessee.
was at
Yeah.
Vatech, a team that
Okay.
was god awful. Had an
Yeah.
O line that was so porous that he couldn't get passes off fast enough. And when he did, his wide receivers dropped a lot.
Right.
So you take him, a guy that plays really super smart, does all that stuff right, and you put him into a system that caters to his style of play.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he's got a total of 37 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not talking, I mean, I understand we're talking about college, but we're talking about college in the SEC, which are the best defenses other than the Big Ten. Would
Yeah.
you agree with that assessment?
Yeah. I mean, they're not. They're
I'm
good.
not
They're
saying
definitely better.
they're
Better
horrible.
defenses.
I'm saying
Right. Right.
if you look at top to bottom, your top 10 defenses in the NCAA every year seems to be a lot of SEC and Big Ten heavy.
Right. But then you have to think about a lot of it is they've never catered to the offense either, so they don't have very good offenses to go against. They haven't never catered to quarterbacks and wide receivers until lately. A lot of times they were just run first type teams, and so they didn't have to worry about these high powered offenses. So you could look at it both ways. But yeah, they technically most of the time they have better defenses. Statistically for sure.
Yeah. And Dave Byrne says, "When is Detroit Lions finally going to get a win this season?" LOL. Laughing at both teams. When are you finally going to get a win in the division with Justin Fields as a starter?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. Do you know any other Chicago fans? Are they pretty high on Justin Fields? But you said that they weren't, right?
There's some that are, and there's some that aren't. It's 50-50.
Oh,
Um,
it's 50. It's a split, kind of.
it's a split, and I talked to a lot of them,
Okay.
and I'm not going to say he's last year when I looked at the O line roster, I
Hmm.
sit there and said, Chicago fans, don't take this wrong, but there's a chance by the end of the year he's going to be called Bustin' Fields, and it's not because he's a bust, it's because he'll be broken from how many times he got sacked. And him and
Right.
Russell Wilson were the two most sacked quarterbacks in the league at 55 sacks.
Right. And some of that was probably that he just took off too soon or ran it too much. Because sometimes if you take off too soon, you run yourself into a sack a lot of times.
Yes,
And so,
it,
yeah, yeah,
that's where a lot of his sacks came outside the tackle box.
yeah. Who's
Because
their
what's
head coach over
crazy,
there?
even though that O line is credited for giving up 55 sacks, you
Right.
know what else they were ninth best at? Amount of time allowed in the pocket at 2.7 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Ninth best in the league.
That's pretty good, actually.
Right, it's very good, but the 55 sacks is very, very bad.
Yeah. And I mean, I would say I would attribute that half of that to Justin Fields, probably
Yeah,
leaving
and
the
I hope
pocket
he
too
did develop.
soon.
When our division is good, NFL is good.
Oh,
when
okay.
when we're a bad division, it seems to go all around the league has bad divisions. We've had only two good divisions, AFC and NFC wise now for what, 4 years running, and last year
Right.
NFC East was the leader with three in the
Right.
playoff,
Right.
and AFC West it was the leader in.
Yeah.
I
This is
mean,
true.
no matter how you shake it, that's how it broke down.
Yeah. That's true.
Because the New York Jets did just enough to not make the playoffs.
Right.
They were
They
more
sure
than a
did.
quarterback away, but they looked like a quarterback away. Let's put it that way.
They definitely looked like they were just a quarterback away. The defense looked really good though.
Yeah, the defense
It's
is
pretty
good.
solid.
The wide receiver room looks decent.
Yeah.
The quarterback play was
And I'm surprised they
streakier.
haven't gone after Dalvin Cook, to be honest.
The quarterback play for the New York Jets was streakier than a 50-year-old man going to Taco Bell shorts.
Wow.
They should have left Mike White in, is all I got to say, because that team was rallying around him. They should have never brought Zach Wilson back.
Right. I mean, but you feel like they felt like they had to because they drafted him so high, and he was
I don't
supposed to be.
care.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. Sometimes you
Hey,
don't blame.
amen, David Burns. I agree. We cannot stand the Packers in our division.
I don't think anybody can stand them, right? I think you guys are kind of salivating to see Jordan Love
Fail.
yeah, and see the
Having fun.
team just miss the playoffs and everything.
Oh, the David Burns, tell me I'm not wrong, but the best part was seeing Aaron Rodgers almost cry when he walked off the field in Week 18 in that Sunday night football game.
That was the best feeling.
It that was our Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Beating him in Lambeau.
right,
I mean,
yeah,
and the second best receiver when Aaron Rodgers faced Green Bay was Kirby Joseph, our safety.
yeah,
He caught more passes in those two games than Christian Watson did in both games combined.
yeah.
4 interceptions. And the Packers are historically a great team. Yes, they are. But everybody thinks they were this great defense last year, and I'm going to burst that bubble right now. They were 21st in scoring against.
Wow.
They were
That,
27th in passing yards
that
against.
yeah,
They were 28th in rushing yards against.
yeah. A lot of people said that last year. They said that I don't know why a lot of people were saying that they had a good defense and Aaron Rodgers couldn't do anything, and they had a solid defense. But I didn't think they had a great defense. Just
They
looking
had
at
an okay defense.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
all
They
it
had a
was.
mediocre defense. It wasn't nothing special.
And now they lost Adrian Amos to the what is it? The New York Packers. We going to start calling them since they signed 6 of them this year. Kind of like the Philadelphia is UGA North.
Right. Yeah, they signed a bunch of Georgia guys.
They
They
drafted
definitely did.
they've drafted 5 in the last 2 years, and they traded for DeAndre Swift, who's a Georgia guy.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure.
In the last 2 years, with the 12th pick in the draft, the Lions have drafted an Alabama player.
Really?
Last year it
They,
was Jamison Williams. This year it was Jahmyr Gibbs.
yeah.
And then in the second round, and I think that was a steal of the draft too, because he was the best safety on the board prior to the draft starting. Brian Branch at 45 was a steal.
Who drafted him?
Lions.
Oh,
We traded
Brian
up with
Brandt.
the Packers to get him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that made it better yet.
Yeah. And that's the guy I was thinking. It was Nolan Smith. I was hoping we took him, but we took the Michigan guy, Mozzie Smith, instead.
Yeah, Nolan
But that's
Smith.
all
I think he'd have fit. You put him on the opposite side of Micah Parsons, and
right.
there's nobody going to stop those two from getting somewhere.
Right? That's what I was thinking. I was a little disappointed. I mean, like I said, I understand the pick, but I feel like, man, how do you turn
Well,
down
and
Nolan Smith?
kudos to the Bears. They drafted Gervon Dexter, the big guy from the middle out of Florida. I think he's going to be a decent player. I think they got him in the third or fourth round. Great pickup.
Hmm. Yeah.
They got arguably the third best wide receiver in the North right now in DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
I mean, right now you got to say it's Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, no order there, but
Right.
Justin Jefferson's number one.
Yeah, that's true. Who do you have for who's your college team? Do you have a college team?
Yeah, I'm a slappy. I'm a Wolverine fan.
Oh.
I admit it. Well, it's almost time for me to go on to my show tonight to talk Lions football. It has
Okay.
been a pleasure talking with you, Flo.
You too.
Tell people where to find you, like the name of
Uh
your pages, all that good stuff.
yeah, but I mean they can probably find me anywhere the Bottom Line Sports, either on YouTube or on the Facebook. We have a Facebook page, a group page that we have, and also on YouTube, the Bottom Line Sports. Just type that in, you'll see my picture somewhere on there, or my partner Canteen will be on there, and so just type that in anywhere, and you can find us anywhere on the. If you type that in, we'll pop up somewhere up there. The Bottom Line Sports.
All right. And you can find me here on Sideline Sports on Fridays and Sundays here in the off season, Friday nights at 8, Sundays at 2, where I do these interviews. I'm hoping that I get a good one this Sunday. I'll be surprised to see who it is.
Okay. So you got
I
another
also
show you're
have
doing?
say what?
You have another show you're doing?
Yeah, and then there's my channel, Kneecap Biting with the Detroit Lions at 9:30
Oh,
tonight.
okay.
I do my Lions fan
Oh,
cave chat this week. There wasn't a lot of
oh,
news,
okay.
so it's a 100% viewer driven content show. I want them to chat whatever they want me to talk about.
Okay.
Just
You
trying to
said
do
you were,
things a little different.
and you said you wrote for the
And I write for
digital.
the South Florida Tribune. The name of the paper that I write for is the Motor City Tribune. It's owned by them.
Oh,
I've been
okay. And
writing for them since
is that like
last
a paid
preseason.
that's a paid position?
Oh, it's an internship still. Because all
Oh,
I have is
okay.
a high school diploma. I never had a journalism degree, so I'm learning.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Learning as I
Well,
go. But
that's still good though. That's pretty good that you got that gig. It's kind of a
well, because he had
stepping
a show
stone.
called Inside the Pigskin where there was a former great running back that's passed away now named Mel Farr. His son is on that show.
Oh,
And they
okay.
started talking about Detroit and how bad the Patricia era was, and they were waiting to see how it was going to be in year two with Dan Gamble. I said, please stop putting Matt Patricia's name out there, and everybody rolled. And next thing you know, the guy that ran that podcast was the publisher.
Uh-huh. Oh, really? That's good
He goes,
though.
man, your takes are good and your stats are spot on.
Right, right. No, that's really you have a lot of knowledge. So, I, I'll tell you what. I bet you Anthony Richards has a better year. He's not a bust. I bet he's not a bust. I don't think he'll take them, deep into the playoffs. But I bet he'll be better than you think he's going to be.
I hope he is for Colts
Yeah.
fans'
Right. Right.
sake, but I
Yeah.
don't expect it.
I
I'll
think
put
he'll
it
have a
that way.
shaky start. I think he'll have a shaky start because he does have a lot to learn. But I think by mid-season, I think he's going to hit his stride a little bit, and he'll look better after mid-season. That's my prediction, at least.
All right. Well, this has been the Jeremy Ballreich Show. I hope everybody appreciated it. It was a pleasure talking with you, Flo.
Hey,
Everybody
you
have a
too.
great evening.
All right,
And
you too.
I'm going to tell everybody here the same thing I do on my channel. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way to leave the world a better place.
All right, I like that.
Have a
Take
great
care.
evening, everybody.